Why would we want to owner finance? Let's go through some pros and cons of owner financing. Well, one big pro is the tenants' toilets and trash, right? When you are a landlord, you have to deal with tenants' toilets and trash. I don't like dealing with tenants' toilets and trash. I always, whenever I'm speaking publicly, I make people raise your hand. You know, raise your hand if you have a mortgage on your house, and everybody raise it. Keep your hand raised if you've ever called that mortgage company and told them that your toilet was leaking, right? The mortgage company doesn't care. The mortgage company gets their payment every month on the 1st, and if they don't receive it by the 15th, they get a late fee. And if they don't get that late fee, and that happens for a couple of months, you get foreclosed on and they get the property back. It's the buyer's responsibility to pay for the taxes, the repairs, the insurance, the general upkeep, all that kind of stuff. That's not the bank's problem. Well, with owner financing, you're the bank. That's what we're doing here. You're becoming the bank for somebody, right? Though you're selling them the property, you're also providing that financing, and you don't have to deal with the tenants' toilets and trash. That's a big pro to dealing with owner financing. What's another one? You get set actual returns. Again, I'm going to compare this to landlording. When you're a landlord, I run into this all the time. I talk to people and they go, well, I'm cash flowing $600 a month on my rental. Okay, well, what makes you say that? Well, you know, I have to pay $600 a month, and or did I say $600? I have to pay $400 a month, and I only pay, and they pay me $1,000 a month for rent. Okay, so there's a $600 difference there, but that's gross returns. That's not an actual profit. Because what happens when that air conditioning unit goes out and you got to spend another $5,000 or $6,000? Well, your whole profits for that year are shot, right? Perhaps more. So it's really important to understand that when you're doing the owner financing side of things, if you're getting $350 a month, you're getting $350 a month. There's no other added expenses that come to that. You might have to pay $650 a month to the bank, and then you're receiving $1,000 a month. That's it. You have actual returns that you can count on from this point in time. There are no other things that add into it. So that's another pro. What's a con? A con would be lost appreciation. When you sell with owner financing, you've sold the house. You are no longer the owner of that property. So you cannot capitalize on the fact if the house value goes up in the future, that belongs to the buyer now. That's theirs. That's not yours anymore. Okay? So you do lose that appreciation. You're trading that off for the consistency and knowing that you've got your returns, but you're not going to be able to eventually sell that thing for the higher price. You already sold. You already took your profit. What's another pro? You're in your own niche. There's not a whole heck of a lot of people that are doing owner financing comparatively. When you look at the entire realm of real estate investors, there's only a select few of us that are actually getting out there and really heavily pushing towards the owner financing stuff, the subject to, that kind of thing. And that's one of the things that has given me success in this business, is because I'm the guy. I'm the guy that people can go to and learn how to do this subject to stuff. I'm the guy that people can go to and partner up with deals. You know, that has helped me tremendously as I go to these RIA clubs and that kind of stuff. People know that I've got this niche, and I really encourage you to find a niche and to be good at it. You should know how to do everything, but when you've got a niche and you're good at it, people know that you're that person and can go to you for that kind of deal. There's also a low barrier to entry. This is very similar to wholesaling in that way. I mean, really, you got to pay for your marketing, and that's about it. There are ways to structure every other part of the deal where you literally don't have to have any money to buy the house with subject to. And that's one of the really cool things. When I started this business, guys, I was a 9-to-5er. I was making $45,000 a year, something like that, under 50 regardless. I didn't have any cash in the bank saved. I had enough money to shoot out some marketing, and that was it. And I built my whole investing career off of nothing. My first 45, 50 houses, I literally didn't spend a single dollar from my back pocket on, because I leveraged other things. I leveraged how option contracts worked. I leveraged how we had buyers out there ready to go, leveraged private lenders, all that kind of stuff. So you've got a low barrier to entry to get in here. Now, I will give the caveat of, it takes no money to buy a property, but you should have money to hold that property, okay? So even if that means when you sell the property with owner financing, you get a 10% down payment, just set that down payment aside. Don't touch it. Leave that there, because you don't know. Maybe your buyer stops paying and you're going to have to foot the bill for your underlying mortgage for a few months. and then you're going to have to pay for a foreclosure, and maybe you're going to have to pay to fix a couple things up before you resell it, that kind of stuff. So it's good to have that money ready to go, but you can use the deal to get that money. So it takes no money to get in, takes money to hold. What's next? We've got foreclosures, which the foreclosure is a con, but it's also kind of a pro. You can watch our foreclosure video to see a little bit more of what I mean by that, but here's the thing. Okay, like I mentioned before, somebody stops paying. That sucks. You've got to pay your underlying mortgage. You've got to continue to pay for that debt for however long, 2, 3, 4, 6 months before you're able to get that person out of the property. Okay? That's no fun. But whenever you do get that person out of the property, typically you're able to take that property back at the foreclosure auction, and then you're able to sell it again for now the appreciated price, because it has been time, right? So ideally the values have been going up, so now you get to sell it for a little bit more. You're starting a new 30-year note, and let's say it took that first person 5-6 years before you foreclosed on them. Well, they just paid 5 or 6 years down on your underlying mortgage. They just paid for that debt for however long. So now you actually, long story short, make a ton more money on the foreclosure scenario than you would if that first buyer had just worked out for you the whole time. Now, I always say morally, ethically, it is imperative that you put people into your properties that you honestly feel like can pay for the property. That's one of the reasons why it's really important to shoot somebody through an RMLO, look at their financials, figure out that they can buy it. You've got to put people in that can pay for that property, because it can come back to you to bite you in multiple ways, not just morally, but also legally. That can bite you in the bum. But if you've done everything that you think is good, right, and you put somebody that you genuinely felt could pay for the property and they can't, it's okay. You're going to make a ton more money in the long run. There are lots of legalities, like I mentioned there. I mean, there's Dodd-Frank, there's state local laws that have to do with financing. You've got to be aware of those. But the good news is there are people out there that take care of that for you. Your attorneys are going to take care of that, a lot of those legalities for you. Your RMLO, your residential mortgage loan originator, is going to take care of a lot of that for you. I founded Texas Pride Lending several years ago, specifically for that exact need. There are people like yourself who don't want to have to go through and read Dodd-Frank like I did. You don't want to have to know all the ins and outs of the legalities of what you can and can't do nationally and state-wise like I do. But you can have this service over here that takes care of that for you. Now, I've since sold Texas Pride Lending. That's now run by Sarah Montez, but they do a great job. They're still under the same principles and everything that it was founded under, and that's one way to take care of those legalities. So there's a lot of things that you do need to be aware of, but there are services that take care of that for you. One of my biggest and most favorite pros of this is the unlimited funding aspect. Like I mentioned before, a lot of you may be very stuck in the conventional mind frame of, hey, I go get a loan from a bank, that means I can buy properties, right? But I know the conventional lending, they allow you to get like 10, I think, last time I checked, loans under your name before they cut you off. Shoot, I do 10 in a month. That's, with subject to, nobody is telling you no. Your job is just to sit in front of a seller and say, I can do this, and show them what the options are. They say yes, they sign the contract, boom, you're done. This is how you build a large portfolio of cash flowing properties without ever having to put your personal name on anything, is through the subject to realm. That's a big pro. And then non-recourse. Like I mentioned, it's not your personal name. Everything is done through your LLC. So until this year, I had never put my own personal name on a loan ever. So worst case scenario, if things went bad, nothing's actually going to come back on me. Now, once you get to a certain degree, once you get to a certain level, once you start using private money and going to banks and that kind of stuff, and you kind of build, you are going to have to do personal guarantees eventually. But that doesn't mean that you can't start. I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio without ever having my personal name on a single property before, and that's pretty cool.
Appreciate you checking out that clip. If you want to see hundreds of hours of content just like that, covering topics like subject to, wholesaling, pre-foreclosure, the ins and outs of all of the different aspects that you need as a real estate investor to perform in this business, the information that you need to take your business to the next level, check out Propelio.com's Academy, content that is available absolutely at no cost to you, step by step, no upsells, true content that'll help you perform in this business.